Hi, I'm Alexandra Nicholas-Kuhn, Executive Director for the Massillon Museum. The Massillon Museum is a cultural hub where art and history come together. It is a reflection of the community's past and its present. With that in mind, it is imperative during this public health concern that we remain accessible to you, our supporters, by way of our online resources. Visit the Learn portion of our website for Educator Resources and lesson plans, and our virtual galleries under Exhibits and Collections at massillonmuseum.org for great art and history content reflecting a broad array of topics covering local, regional, and even international scope. The museum is temporarily closed to the public as we want to do our part in keeping the community safe. We have organized with other area museums to bring content directly to you that can be enjoyed from the comfort and safety of your own homes or offices. As we all work together to keep COVID-19 at bay, you can visit MassMu's Facebook and Instagram pages, as well as those of our museum peers at the McKinley Museum and Presidential Library, the Canton Museum of Art, the National First Ladies Library, Pro Football Hall of Fame, and Denison Railroad Depot Museum for content posted daily at noon, Monday through Saturday, to keep you informed, engaged, and entertained. Thank you on behalf of our staff and board of directors for your continued support of the museum, and we wish you all to be safe and well.
Hi, I'm Mandy Altimus Stahl, and I'm the archivist here at the Massillon Museum. So our staff is still here during the COVID-19 crisis here in Ohio, and we were super excited to unveil a lot of our permanent collection galleries, but unfortunately right now we are closed to the public until about April 3rd, and that might change. So what we'd like to do is give you guys a kind of glimpse behind the scenes, give you a little bit of history and some educational components and things that you might enjoy while you can't visit us in person. So welcome aboard. So this is one of our favorite artifacts here at the Massillon Museum. It used to be on display all the time, so we are super excited to bring back out the 1908 Jewel automobile that was made here in Massillon, Ohio. So this horseless carriage was created by the Forest City Motor Car Company, and obviously looks a little bit different than cars do today. So the reason that we typically refer to early cars as horseless carriages is that they look a lot like carriages of the time period just before these kind of automobiles became popular. The springs on this thing are not quite comfortable. It's not quite the comfortable ride that you have today. There were not a lot of brick streets quite yet. Most of them were still dirt. So as we were laying down streetcar tracks and kind of improving our roads, we started to see some of those paved roads, but things like actual pavement that we have today that was either cement or blacktop would not come in until later. And so you may notice that the tires on this car also don't look like they do today. The original tires were something akin to bike tires. They have kind of an inner tube. They're not very durable. If you hit something sharp, you would more than likely experience a flat tire. They didn't realize until 1916 that if you added carbon to them, that they would be much more durable, and that gives them their black color. So we have these reproduction tires on here to give you the sense of what it would have looked like kind of rolling out of the factory. So another cool thing that we have on display in the gallery, we have these various wooden pieces, which together look like a kind of cool installation. But these are actually wooden molds that would be put together in a certain order for the engine parts of the Jewel automobile. What we also have on display is a duster. In this instance, this one is from the 1870s. As you're traveling down the road, obviously we don't have a windshield on the Jewel. There were no windshields on any horse and buggies. So there's a lot of dirt flying down these dirt roads. There's bugs, there's all kinds of things. So how do you keep your beautiful clothing from getting dirty? So this duster would have provided you a nice covering to keep your beautiful, mink stole nice and clean. Typically there was also a headscarf to go around your hat, sometimes goggles. So one of the other cool things on the Jewel, we do have a reproduction license plate. We do have an actual license plate from the era in a case over here, which is pretty great. So when automobiles came out, it was new. Nobody really knew what were the rules going to be. So as of 1906, Massillon City Council passed a law that stated that your license plate had to have an M for Massillon, and then the number was assigned to you by the auditor's office, and they had to be aluminum on black. What was shocking to me in researching all of this exhibit information is that Ohio actually didn't require that you have a driver's license until the 1930s, which was like mind-blowing. I remember my grandfather talking about being able to drive cars and tractors when he was 8 years old, which would have been before the 30s, so that makes sense. He didn't have to prove that he knew how to operate a vehicle. So obviously this is very, very different to us today, driving cars in the modern era. So my question is, what looks different? There are many different pieces and parts here. One that is obviously pretty cool, these beautiful lights here. These actually would have been kerosene lanterns that you would turn on at night. I'm not sure how helpful they were driving down the street at night, but they do have glass there to kind of amplify the light, as it was kind of flickering along as you're driving down the road. So another thing is the seat capacity. There is capacity for 2 people to sit comfortably. I mean, not really comfortably, but you can fit there. So hopefully you're not going terribly far. So the canopy is actually adjustable, so you can actually pull that down and make it look a little bit more convertible-like. Again, you still got the nice breeze coming through because there is no windshield. There's no radio inside, there's no air conditioning. You were kind of open to the elements. So I can only imagine that on a super rainy, muddy, snowy, icky day, you probably would have walked somewhere on the little bit better maintained sidewalks. So one thing too, again, in this kind of horseless carriage idea, there's no motor in the front. There's no big, long, snout of a car happening. So it is actually tucked away in this nice little pack right here. And as you can see, we do have an oil pan underneath as we try to maintain this so it doesn't become a ball of rust. So obviously today we have speed limits. They did try to implement speed limits kind of early on to make sure that people were keeping it to about 8 miles an hour through downtown. So we didn't get our first stoplight here in Massillon until 1925. So if you can imagine, you've got streetcars going down the tracks, you've got horses, you've got buggies, you've got people crossing the street because there are no lights to wait for. People are just crossing and trying not to get hit by streetcars. And then you introduce, this horseless carriage making a chug-chug noise as it goes through, scaring horses, people. There's so much going on the streets. So the Jewel could maintain about 4 to potentially 30 miles an hour. But yeah, really going any faster than that through downtown seems like a very scary idea. One thing that was so very nice of the Forest City Motor Car Company, they really were community minded. So unfortunately for the postal workers, they were delivering their mail still by horse and buggy in 1908, 1907. And unfortunately one of the livery stables where all of their horses were housed caught on fire and all of the horses were killed. So there was a potential for all of the mail to go undelivered, and the Forest City Motor Car Company actually loaned the post office Jewel automobiles, just like this one, to be able to go and deliver the mail. They did provide a driver who knew how to operate the vehicle. Obviously, with the kind of motorized, very quick delivery that was afforded by this automobile, horse and buggy mail delivery started to go away as they realized how much quicker and more efficient they could deliver the mail. So I hope you enjoyed learning about our Jewel automobile, and I hope that once we reopen, you come and visit us. But until then, you can join us every Tuesday at noon here on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube in order to see an artifact, see behind the scenes, learn more from your Massillon Museum.
Stay safe.